There we go. Got the chat set up. Welcome to everyone in the chat. Please give us a like and a share. That would help more people find the show. We're setting up the like bar right now. Might see if we can get a even slightly bigger chat. Let's see about, no, not really there. Maybe right there. There we go. A little bigger chat. All right, here we go. Let's do it. Hit it. This ain't no disco. This ain't no country club either. This is Las Vegas. All I want to do is have a little fun before I die, says the man next to me, out of nowhere. It's apropos of nothing. He says his name is William, but I'm sure he's Bill or Billy or Mac or Buddy. And he's plain ugly to me, and I wonder if he's ever had a day of fun in his whole life. We are drinking beer at noon on Tuesday in a bar that faces a giant car wash. The good people of the world are washing their cars on their lunch breaks, hosing and scrubbing as best they can in skirts and suits. They drive their shiny Datsuns and Buicks back to the phone company, the record store too. Well, there are nothing like Billy and me, 'cause today is Tuesday, March 17th, 2020. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the Thomas Hunt Show. That makes sense. Moving on, the price of Bitcoin is up 5.96% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 5,337. That seems leet. And a high of 5,455, a low of 4,869. That's $1 for 18,782 Satoshis. The Dow Jones Industrial Average started off the day down all the way to 19,960 before recovering to a high of 20,790 with a last of 20,723. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 2.63% so far. Be sure to like this video. Liking this video helps more people find the show, gets us more callers, gets us more viewers. Everything happens when you like the video. We have 5 likes right now and 16 streaming, so that's about a third. Let's see if we can get that up to half. Checking out the normal stories, coronavirus continues to spread. We're attempting to flatten the curve. We are staying home. I hope that you will stay home as well. Top stories in Bitcoin, all about the price, the price, the price, and the price. CoinDesk, Bitcoin is now undervalued, suggests this price metric. According to MVRZ Z-Score, the cryptocurrency is underpriced and could be trading near a major bottom. Business Insider UK, off the rails, stocks, oil, treasury yields, and Bitcoin surge, then retreat as coronavirus woes outweigh the bulls. Bitcoin gold may hit 1K in a race to the bottom, Peter Brandt. Gold has only limited support between current levels and 1050, while only a pie-in-the-sky event can save Bitcoin. And you could blame Bitcoin short-term holders for the price crash again. Some are even saying that many of the institutions that bought Bitcoin that we all celebrated them for also turned out to be the weakest hands in the bunch, selling almost immediately. Bitcoin is crashing more than stocks and coronavirus. Why Bitcoin is back in free fall and dropping fast. Bitcoin trades below production cost. Miners are better off buying. These are all the headlines they put up when it's not time to buy. When it's time to buy, they put up things like, Bitcoin going up so much. All your friends are rich. Blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know. If you do the opposite of what everyone else does, it might be approaching a buying opportunity. Checking out Twitter. According to Twitter, this is not confirmed. It says Bank of America is limiting cash withdrawals to $3,000. Expect that number to drop over the next couple of days. And as everyone rushes to get their food and for some reason their toilet paper, many people who are already on the next level or the next level have already stockpiling at least a little bit of cash. What if you need to buy something? What if you need to pay a doctor or bribe someone? You just might need some cash. What if the credit card and ATM systems stop working because the technicians that keep them going stay at home because they're sick? You might need some cash. What if you want to buy something on the black market? You just might need some cash. Breaking news from CNBC. The Federal Reserve is announcing another $500 billion operation for overnight repo funding. For those of you who are keeping score, we had this 500, the other 500 they announced during the trading session, and a $700 billion they announced on Sunday. If these are all unique events, it's possible I might be duplicating this one. That is either 1.7 or 1.2 trillion dollars being poured into the economy by the Federal Reserve. And where does the Federal Reserve get their money? They print it. They print it. Yes, everyone knew that one. Cramer on CNBC just this morning, I quoted it off the TV. The problems are too big for the private sector. It has to be the president. It has to be the Treasury. And it has to be in the next 24 hours. Cramer, a big believer in the market, a big old-time stock guy, saying that the markets desperately need real bailouts. Likely, if we want to talk about things that'll work, we need to print checks and give money directly to people, directly to businesses who are going to go out of business, who are going to go bankrupt, who are not making money right now. We need to send them checks directly. We don't need a new agency. We don't need new things. All we need is the existing check printers at the IRS or the Treasury, and they just turn them on, link them up to the addresses, and send out the checks. That's what we need. I don't know that that's what we're getting. I don't know what Cramer wants. Maybe some stock buyback, some repurchasing. Give us some free money that we can only invest in the stock market with. Something like that would probably please him. But it is impressive to see him every morning on CNBC. He's been getting up early, doing the early shift as we've had crash after crash after crash. And every once in a while when he talks, he seems to have the president's ear. So I hope the president, as sad as things are these days, I hope the president is listening to Mr. Cramer, who is asking him to intervene and to save our economy. Hey, check it out. I put up some pictures from Happy Please Stay Home St. Patrick's Day. I don't know if you guys know, but I had the honor of visiting Dublin this year. I went to see, just to sightsee, see some famous authors, Oscar Wilde, James Joyce, all kinds of things like that. And here we are out on the street. It was just after a marathon. Here's St. Stephen's Green, a beautiful park in the heart of Dublin. There's a James Joyce statue and me. So pretty cool. Hope everybody's doing well in Ireland today. Staying home, living the quarantine life. I think they had a case a couple of weeks ago. There I am at the Book of Kells, the Trinity College Library. And there's a picture as good as the one that I had as a backdrop on my computer forever. And never knew where it was from, but it turns out it's from here. So it's from Ireland. This was Kilmarin Gaol, a very scary jail that was run by the British. This yard, particularly where this flag is where the British assassinated or murdered, or whatever you want to say, several Irish protesters in, I want to say 1906, might have been 1916. And this was the original Irish Revolution. As the tour guide told me here, right here in this yard is where the British lost the Irish. Until that point, they had been good British citizens, and they thought that these rebels were, not part of them, not on the team, just making noise. But when the British started executing the rebels, they killed, I want to say, about 9 of them. They were estimated to kill all 90. All 90 rebels had been ordered to death, and that this was the end of Ireland being part of the British Empire. Kilmarin Gaol, also a famous prison for being a panopticon. A panopticon is a famous 17th century prison. Might have been designed by Foucault, those kind of things. But it's about punishment, and the key here is that one man can stand in the center of this prison and see all of the doors. So it's an incredibly strong position for a jailer. Also, the natural light is pretty impressive here. There's another cathedral. I think it might be St. Patrick's Cathedral in Dublin. Just a few more pictures. You guys like pictures. This was inside of St. Patrick's Cathedral, a magnificent cathedral. Here's my friends that came to town for a Bitcoin meetup. Shout out to all my Irish friends. We had a good time at that little pub right there across the street from my Airbnb. There's another shot of St. Patrick's Cathedral, kind of the smaller praying area in the back. And just a few more O'Donoghie's, a nice bar in Dublin there. This is the door from the house of Ulysses. Unfortunately, the house is gone, but the museum saved the door. So that's pretty cool. There's the door knocker. And there's good old Oscar Wilde. So shout out to Ireland. Hope you guys are doing well surviving St. Patrick's Day inside. I know it's hard, but inside. Spain just nationalized all of its hospitals and healthcare providers. As the commenter on Twitter says, every country should do this. We cannot trust corporations to put our healthcare needs over their profits. And this is the main argument that we have when we talk about for-profit healthcare versus Medicare for all. In a Medicare for all system, you cover everyone, you provide preventative care, and you strengthen our society and raise our GDP because we have less sick people and more people working. In a for-profit healthcare system, the companies who profit off of healthcare profit, and everyone else loses. Society loses. We have more sick people. We have more bankruptcies. We have an impact on the GDP. The doctors lose. They feel they can't help enough people. They aren't doing anything. They're charging people. All the intermediaries, all the insurance companies, all the people charging people for being sick, they all lose. They're all part of a negative system. We need to replace the negative system with a positive system, not only for national pandemics, but for preventative care in usual. The stronger we are, the more people working, the more people contributing to the gross national product, the more profits that we all make. This is one of those things that benefits everyone. Yes, it costs a lot of money, but it will also save money and improve the GDP by having less sick workers and help us handle pandemics like this. What? This cannot be. A ventilator maker could increase production by 500%, but the United States government hasn't put in an order. No order, no ramp up of production. Oh my God. So we were talking yesterday about the idea of making open source ventilators and that maybe the ventilators companies couldn't even handle the attempt to make more ventilators. Well, it turns out they're not even trying. The capitalist ventilator companies are just sitting there doing nothing when there's obviously a crisis. Now, on the other side, the national government, which is supposed to handle these things, hasn't picked up the phone and asked them to make more. They haven't had a meeting of all the ventilator makers where they say, hey, guys, we're in real trouble here. Not just us, the entire world. Everyone in the world could use more ventilators. You guys think about making some more? I mean, this is just ridiculous. So, again, just an embarrassing oversight, but this happens when you're not organized. Organization, competence. This is what we should be looking for at the top of government, not flashy reality stars or whatever else you guys are looking for. I mean, it's competence, organization. Give me somebody that can run things. I know Bloomberg shit the bed in the debates and he's out of the race already, but there's a competent administrator. He might not be the smartest, he might not be the number one, but there's a guy who, unlike this guy, I trust to go out there and find the smart people and then, shocking of all shocks, listen to them. I know, listening to the smart people. There's this great article here in the Washington Post. I just want to show part of it again. The orange dots are people getting sick, so the blue dots go to orange. As we can see here, this is what happens if it spreads throughout all of society. Also, people recover. So we see here the orange dots become blue dots and then become pink dots as recovered. This great little program here, we can see this is how the virus spreads when we all go outside. So this is everybody walking around, spreading the virus to everyone else. And pretty soon we're all sick and we overwhelm the health system. There's no more beds. There's no more ventilators. And the doctors are now triaging us, which is it's a Italian word, I want to say. Triage means three, maybe Latin. And triage, to split into three groups. Who will live, who will die, who we can help. Something like that. So as we can see here, here's the Chinese. They attempted a quarantine for a short amount of time, but they also opened up the quarantine. As you can see, when you open up the quarantine, your sick population starts to get out and mix with your normal population, and pretty soon everybody's infected again. So you can't open up your quarantine. Going down here, this is partial social distancing. So you see the people who are frozen in place, they are at home. So as you can see, people are still bouncing around the system getting sick, but less and less people are getting sick because people are staying home. You see the people who are staying home, the orange dots that don't move, they are not spreading the virus to anyone else unless they come to their homes. You can see that the curve on this is a lot flatter. And this is a partial stay at home, partial. So let's see if we can scroll down some more. And this is near total staying at home. This is everybody staying at home. And you can see how flat that curve is. Look how slow the virus is growing. And remember, slow growing virus, hospitals not full. Don't have to triage, don't have to decide people into groups. We don't just, sadly say to the 80-year-olds, you can't be treated. You're out, right? Look how low that chart could be if we just stay home. So this is what we have to do. These are our options. Here's a great shot of the various options. So free for all. We do nothing. They tried this in England. Thing goes straight up. We overwhelm all the hospital. There's no more bed. They're triaging. Lots of people die. Attempted quarantine. This is what China did when they reopened it. You see, they have the initial success. They're flattening the curve, followed by a failure. The curve starts going back up. Moderate distancing. This is pretty much what we're trying without any top-down leadership from the government. We're distancing moderately. And it kind of works, right? It kind of flattened the curve. It was good. But what we really need is extensive distancing. It's no fun for everybody, but we're staying home. We're not sick. We're not getting anybody sick. We're staying home. That's how it works. That's why it's better. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat in case you guys want to check this out or send this to your friends. This is from the Washington Post. It's called Corona Simulator. And it really helps a lot to watch those bouncing balls and to think about how viruses spread. As we talked about yesterday, they're attempting to build an open source ventilator. This is a very cool project. If you're a hardware hacker, you're into this kind of thing, I hope you volunteer on the open source ventilator project or another open source or science-based project related to the coronavirus. Yes, we're all stuck at home, but maybe if you have specialized skills, you can do something and you can help people. Checking out, there's a paywall? Oh, that's terrible. There's a paywall for the Washington Post article. Sorry about that, guys. Well, send them to the video, I suppose. Checking out the stats from worldmeters.info. 190,000 coronavirus cases, 7,500 deaths, and 80,000 recovered. Checking out the active cases, we have 101,854 currently infected patients. We are still going straight up, almost completely straight up in total cases and in total deaths. Let's check the log. On a logarithmic scale, we might be flattening out. So over time, with the things added in, we might be flattening out. So that would be great. Here we go. Cases by territory or country. Let's see. We want to see some France. Let's see some USA. Let's see. So here we are, United States. At least according to this data, we are still trending up. On the log, it's actually even worse. On the log, it looks like we're going linear in a straight line up. So we're not seeing any kind of flattening or any kind of dropping. Italy, looking at Italy, still trending straight up. Again, we only had 1 day of data since yesterday, and we see on the log they're going up too. Looking at China, this is the place where they had success. How did China make this go flat? They kept everyone inside. We all mocked them. We all said they were authoritarian. We all said they were overreacting. They kept everyone inside. They flattened the curve of the virus. This is what we need. And once again, exponential growth is the green line that looks like a curve. This later becomes an S curve where it goes almost straight up and then it curves out. Usually we're into viruses. We're into going viral. Like if this video went viral, it would go like a straight curve and then straight up. But now we're not. Viruses are bad. Going viral, bad for everyone. Do not want. So also we have the linear graph here, which is the red line. That's where things just go in a straight line. And we have the geographic or geometrical rise here, the blue one, where things go up slowly. Checking out a picture of COVID-19, the coronavirus. Those red things are the coronas. Those are the crowns that are coming up out of the spiky balls of death. Talked a lot about quarantine, talked a little about these kind of things. Here we go. This guy says, government is the problem. Get government out of my life. Starve the beast. Well, here we are in the middle of a pandemic without a functioning federal government. What now? Nothing good there. Nothing good. Checking out Edward Hopper's classic paintings from the Spanish flu. These are people in isolation. Maybe they have a little something to do with us now. You always looked at these pictures and wondered why these people are so sad, why they're staring out the window, why they look a little bored. Turns out these pictures are us. These pictures are the future, staring out a window, looking kind of bored. But better to be inside. We had a strange report from Weijia Jiang, who says this morning a White House official referred to the coronavirus, and again, this is as written. We are quoting here. She says that they referred to the coronavirus as the Kung flu to her face, and it makes her wonder what they're calling it behind her back. Just the other day, Trump tweeted again, calling it the Chinese flu, which of course is just a little racist. Just a little racist. I mean, we call the Spanish flu, but we probably shouldn't. And it definitely spreads, it spreads racism to start calling it the Chinese flu. And then, of course, to see something like Kung Fu flu or Kung flu or whatever they're saying, we're just getting darker. We're getting sadder here. It's not the Chinese flu. It's a flu. It's the COVID. It's the COVID virus, man. Come on. Can we stop calling it payments with cryptocurrencies if it uses the Visa network? Okay, thanks. Bye. CoinDesk, another breathless announcement of another one of these cards that uses the Visa network until Visa stops them from using their network. They've had 4 or 5, maybe 10 companies now that make these cards, and everyone's so excited about it. I'm spending my Bitcoin. I'm spending my Bitcoin. Yes, but you're not really using your Bitcoin, and you're not really using the cryptocurrency network. You're not getting any of the advantages. It's more like you're using a centralized middleman with your cryptocurrencies. And we could all use centralized middleman. We'll just use our Visa card. Whatever. Adelina Chalmers writes, stay on the right side of history and take 6 deep breaths to engage your neocortex, the logical part of your brain, and not your limbic system, the irrational part of your brain, before you make any decisions. Otherwise, you're likely to regret your reactions for years to come. I think this is good advice. I also saw something on the news today. She didn't really get into it, but Ali Velci on MSNBC, I was up early this morning, and she said, everyone at home, I'd like you to take a deep breath. And that was the funniest thing. She doesn't really know how to breathe. She took about maybe a quarter breath. So I'm going to say with you guys, let's do a deep breath. Let's do all the way in, all the way out. So maybe they didn't have time for all of that on national TV, but that's what a deep breath feels like. And I think it's a crisis time for all of us. It's not so bad if we all just took a deep breath. Remember, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Fill your whole abdomen, your whole body building up with the air, filling up all the way down your spine. So let's just do one more together. You also want to hold it, and you want to let it out slowly, like you're deflating a balloon. Just slowly let that air out. And remember, you can do this at any time. It's free. It's part of the simulation. Most people just don't. I don't know why. Ramp Capital has become bear market. Ramp Capital says the Dow is 700 points off the high, turns negative. And he's got a great Grand Theft Auto graphic. It says, shit, here we go again. So the herd immunity strategy in the UK has been abandoned. It was a terrible idea. Apparently, it was based on a different disease with hospitalization rates lower than coronavirus and less rates of intensive care. So, whoops. Again, competence. Getting the work done. Completing the assignment. History of getting the work done. History of completing the assignment. That's what we need. Competence. I know it's almost impossible. It's a dream world, but competence. Let's see, like they're saying, yes, the Prime Minister of the UK has shifted towards suppression after new analysis of the coronavirus death rate. Herd immunity strategy is being abandoned. So if you were going outside in the UK and getting sick because your government told you to, now it's time to stay home again. And if you're in Scotland or Northern Ireland, or maybe even Wales, and thinking about leaving the UK, it's never been a better time. These are the people that got you kicked out of Europe with Brexit. You're going to have trade problems forever. And now they're bungling the disease response. So if your government's incompetent, get another government, vote them out. We have other options. Theoretically, at least we're in a democracy, although President Putin is going to expand his terms. He's adding more terms to the president for life. So that can happen too. A dire new report forces the U.S. and U.K. to change course on coronavirus strategy. It's almost like they didn't know what they were doing the whole time, like they said in the chat. Shout out to Ben in the chat. He says, close everything, except for schools, of course. Keep them open so our little disease carriers go to a group of other disease carriers and bring them home. That sounds like a great idea. Really thinking this through. The German government just posted an order for more ventilators. The U.S. government has not posted an order. The ventilator maker says they can ramp up production 5-fold, but they haven't been asked. Oh, well. Here's some great street art from Mr. Balloon Knot at Balloon Knots, Knots. Pretty great stuff. You can see the standard but well done name type tag in the background. Then he's got a man with a headphones on, a respirator, but it's not a man, it's a skeleton, it's a skull. Pretty cool stuff, pretty raw, great street art. Love it. Let's see. But it took my place. Where was my place? Scroll down. All right, so there was an FBI guy on MSNBC yesterday. He said, when you're scared, you believe things that are not true. In other words, if we're quoting Dune, the book or the movies or whatever, fear is the mind killer. And I don't remember it exactly, but it's something about fear is the mind killer. Fear is not real. Imagine fear behind you. Keep walking forward. And if you look over your shoulder, you won't see anything behind you because nothing's there, because fear is not real. You have to fight the fear. Of course, it's the slogan of the Ben Gesserit, the religious female group, conspiratorial, very interesting and complex group of people inside of the Fantastic Dune books. I read all 8 of the Dune books, even the 2 that his son and the guy that wrote the Star Trek books wrote, Star Wars books. Timothy Zahn. Good stuff. I like the 4th one the best, God Emperor of Dune. I saw a cool meme here. Looks like maybe from Outbreak. Looks like Cuba Gooding, maybe Kevin Spacey and Dustin Hoffman. Cuba says, they're all dead. And then one of the other ones said, yeah, but did you notice how clean their asses were? It's a good thing we've been stocking up on toilet paper. That's going to work out for us in the end. Oh, we had a fun vote here on the Mad Bitcoins Twitter account. Of course, if you want to subscribe to me on Twitter, you can go to Twitter at Mad Bitcoins. I put a lot of tweets out. It's up to you. You don't have to subscribe. It's your choice. But I got a cool poll here. We had 237 people respond. If they send you free money, will you pay your bills? 51.9%. Hoard cash? 48.1%. So very close vote. A lot of people rambling for a third option so they could stack sats or buy Bitcoin, but it's a lot better when you're doing a poll to ask a binary question. If you look right here, this poll really says, well, do you think that society is going to be fine and I should pay my bills and business as normal? Or do you think society's doomed and I need to hoard the cash and the bills will settle themselves out? So very close vote here, only 3% difference, 237 voting. Governor Cuomo of New York seems to be leading in this crisis. I know, a shocking attitude and position from the governor. He has deployed the National Guard to New Rochelle and is establishing a containment center to stem the coronavirus. Everyone laughed yesterday, got mad at me when I said, martial law, the military, we need the most organized, dependable. They probably have a plan for this. They have the tanks, they have the jeeps, they have the tents. They have all the gear and the equipment. We know, we've been buying it for them. We need the military. This is a complex problem. If you look at the Chinese quarantine, they had volunteers, they had military, they had different levels of the thing. Certainly you don't need a Marine brigadier general checking people into the coronavirus fever station. That could be done by a volunteer or a private or something. But we do need the general force, the general organization, and the planning of the military. Surely there must be a plan if a pandemic broke out in our society. I don't know what that plan is. I'm sure it's not great. I'm sure we're going to, be in quarantine facilities or something. Is nothing fantastic. But we need to win this. We need to, we need to survive. We need to save our species and our economy and so forth. We need to use all the tools in the toolbox. If we get to the end of this and you say, hey, I had a tool left over, everyone's going to be mad. They're going to be, why didn't you use that tool? How many people could you have saved? And as Cuomo's also saying, the Army Corps of Engineers should be deployed to build temporary medical facilities. And if we hadn't been laughing at China, if we hadn't been saying, oh, they're going to build a hospital in 2 weeks, and oh, there's no union rules, and there's no environmental controls, and they didn't check for an Indian burial ground under the hospital. Oh, that's so bad. No. China saw the problem, organized their workforce and their machinery, the facilities. They are a top-down, controlled, totalitarian government. This is one of their special powers. This is one of their magic powers. If it's a war, if it's a pandemic or a crisis, they can use top-down control. Now, we have a flexible system. We have a federal government. We have state governments. We have local governments. We have a mix of powers between all of them. But in the same way, we do have a strong executive. We do have a central government. We have a way to figure this out. We're just not doing it. And it's not too late. It's getting later and later. But we need to act now. When the Chinese were building their hospitals, we should have been building ours. It's not too late. They say their hospital was junk and leaking water, but still it kept thousands, maybe tens of thousands of patients off the street. It reduced the infections. We don't even have a leaky hospital. We're jealous of those leaky hospitals. If anyone was listening yesterday, when they closed the Vegas casinos, they closed the MGM, all of the MGM casinos. They own 5 or 6 of them. They also closed the Wynn and the Encore. As a logical, reasonable person, I saw that as magic new hotels opening in Las Vegas. We have a variety of rooms with doors, rooms with beds, and we can stick sick people in them. We can put the sick people on an airplane from other places. I don't know. No one's going to like this. But again, we have to be thinking, what are our resources for? In peacetime, here in Las Vegas, we have a fantastic airport. We have a fantastic transportation system. It's not very big or very small. Cars seem to work pretty well, buses and so forth. And we shuttle the people from the airport to the casinos. The casinos are hotel rooms. Yes, this is all leisure activity. Yes, this is all private, owned by a company. But if we think about a true crisis, a real, it's over, you do it now, you save 100,000 people, you don't do it now, you waste 100,000 people, you lose the history, you lose all the knowledge of these older people and a lot of young people and a bunch of random sick people too. If we use all our resources, if we convert the Las Vegas hotels into hospitals, if we convert other hotels into hospitals, as they're saying in the chat, if we convert schools into hospitals, we can fight this thing. We can keep the triage from happening. We can prevent the triage. We can have less triage. We can save more people. They're saying, what would building more hospitals do? It's not, again, this virus is going to be moving around. It'd be great if we could build some kind of mobile facilities or mobile hospitals that could be moved from place to place. And let's use the infrastructure. Motels are already being used. Great. Let's use more. I'm just saying I'm offering up without any ownership or anything, the Las Vegas hotels. It's an idea. Maybe they haven't thought of it yet. I assume the military has rooms of people thinking about things all the time and writing up plans. You guys don't think that, but maybe I read too many Tom Clancy books. Maybe we need Tom Clancy on this one. Dig him up. Dig up his grave. He's still writing books. He really is. Oh, but let's go back to some news here. CoinDesk Research writes, they did all the research of looking at Google Trends. What amazing research. Google searches for Bitcoin worldwide rose by 80 to 90% last week, an extraordinary leap for a down week. And I can tell you right here, we've definitely been having more viewers, more phone calls. Also, thanks to your likes and shares. Subscribe down below, hit the bell for notifications. But generally, in my line of work here, Bitcoin searches for Google being up is the best thing that can happen. When Google searches were up, we got more views. When Google searches went down, we got less views. I do pretty much the same kind of show. Uh, it's pretty clear when the price is up or when the price is down, there's more interest, and we're getting somewhere. We Smokes Bitcoin say that the Las Vegas hotel camps would be nice. He would stay. See, why can't we, be sick in a nice place? And we also have lots of doctors and nurses here. We have kind of an older population as well as a good amount of real hospitals. But imagine if we had that ventilator company cranking full time, sending them to Vegas. We had the airplanes that are just sitting there. I mean, all these, and again, everybody's already sick. You don't put any non-sick people on the plane. Maybe the pilot. You take a risk with a couple of pilots and a couple of flight attendants. I don't even know if flying the people to the thing would be the best. But just in general, I'm saying we need to use all our resources. We need to think outside the box. No idea should be off the table. Everyone should be thinking what they can do. I think these ventilator guys, they probably brought this story up. They probably said, hey, we're just sitting here and we want to make more ventilators. We can't, we're business, we're a company. If Joe says, hey, let's make 50,000 more ventilators and we eat it, the company goes out of business. I mean, sure, it's unlikely you would be unable to sell a ventilator these days, but, businesses have business rules. They need an order before they can make it. And the government doing these little speeches and saying we need ventilators is not the same as an official, could be anybody, any secretary, any kind of worker, pick up the phone, call the ventilator company, say, hey, U.S. government here, we need as many effing ventilators as you can make, 24/7, 365 all the time. If we have extras, we'll send them to Germany. Good, done. Done. As I was saying in the chat, we need to deputize the recovered. The whole thing, I mean, people get upset and they're all like, oh, you're a patriot and you're a nationalist and that's not a great thing and blah, blah, blah. But I was a Boy Scout. And I remember before 9/11 being a big fan of the flag and a fan of the idea of patriotism, the idea of community, the idea of how did we get here? Well, a lot of people fought this war for us and they fought that war and they rebelled against these people and they wrote laws and they sat in Congress and they had debates and all this stuff. All those people's sacrifices are now on the line. Are we going to be a democracy? Are we going to be the same country we used to be? How many people are we going to lose and for what reason? All of those ideas, all of that thing it's all on the line now. So if there's anything we can do, and again, volunteering, deputizing, putting your special skills to work. You're the greatest hardware hacker in the world. Build us a ventilator. Great at talking to people, talk some people down, chill them out. You're great at, having friends, get your friends to stay home. At first things first, let's do that whole, put the air mask on first in the plane, then help out the person next to you with the air mask, right? So get your air mask on, then see about your community. See about helping your community. People were talking about old people that were stuck in the car and they were afraid to go in the supermarket. You probably know some older people in your community. Maybe you're friends with them. Maybe it's a good time to make friends with them. Buy some extra groceries and just drop them by. You don't have to, negotiate and talk to them first or use a special list. Just get some extra food that's good and drop it by some of your old people. If you know old people living in your building, maybe just leave, a nice bottle of water or a nice bag of food or some cereal or something on their doorstep, ring the bell and run away. It doesn't matter. You don't have to actually talk to people. I know it's much harder, but just help everybody. Help everybody in your community. If someone's thinking about staying home, help them stay home. If somebody doesn't believe in the virus, give them more information about the virus. You can never convince anyone, but they have to do it for themselves. They have to go read more about the virus. Let's see. We Smoke Bitcoins is optimistic. He says factories to build the things we are lacking are in progress right now around America. I hope so. I know people have been asking for gloves and now especially hand sanitizer and these ventilators for a while now since the Chinese problem. And I know we didn't crank it up then. I wish we had. Again, if we had a government with a greater concern for people and a greater concern not just for our people, but the people of the world, we could have cranked up to try to help the Chinese people. And then we would be in a great position now. It's another one of those, if you do the right thing, you end up benefiting in the future. If you do the wrong thing, your whole society dies and you're wiped out. So it could be bad. Speaking of doing the right thing and staying home, If anyone's not convinced to stay at home, we're going to play. Probably going to lose our ad rights again, but that just keeps happening. In case anyone's thinking about donation, it's a great time to donate because pretty much all of our videos are being demonetized. I guess I'm not supposed to use the word coronavirus, but I'm talking about the coronavirus. It seems kind of important. And I do think we're making good middle-of-the-road news shows here, providing people with information, letting them make up their own minds. But YouTube obviously has a huge problem with lots and lots of fake and, mean-spirited coronavirus videos. So they're demonetizing lots of them. This was a great message from the Italian people. It's called 10 Days Later. And it's believed that in the U.S. and France, we are 9 to 10 days ahead of the Italians. They asked all the people from Italy to record a message to themselves 10 days ago. And what would they say? And they're speaking Italian in the video, so we're going to probably go with the subtitles here. I might read some of them. But they're speaking to you from the future. I know you're busy. I just wanted to update you on Italy's latest. A huge mess is about to happen. I'm sure you've heard about the coronavirus. And I'm also pretty sure you're underestimating it. I even used to make fun of people wearing face masks. Stop making fun of mom for telling you to buy face masks. Go buy them, idiot. Up until 10 days ago, I went to meetings for work, so I'd go to dinner with my friends, to the gym, to the hairdresser, the usual boring things that have never hurt anybody. But in 10 days, life won't be like this anymore. The worst case scenario, that's exactly what will happen. Yes, because infections in Italy will continue to increase, proving to you this wasn't bullshit like you thought. 10 days ago, they had 2,000 people affected. Now they're at 18,000. They've already passed 1,000 deaths. And now you're working deadly shifts at the hospital. Italy is in a surreal situation. No one can leave their house unless they have a very serious reason. A nice quarantine, the type you only see in movies. A whole nation stuck at home. Didn't see that coming. Hospitals are literally blowing up. Lots of infections. There are kids our age who are incubated and in intensive care. It's just a flu. It's not so bad. Well, I don't know. We took it lightly. We should always be light in spirit, but not with our gestures. If you must go outside, only do it if indispensable. Because what we're risking is not a regular flu. We've seen worrisome videos from France and the US of people not taking this thing seriously. The issue is more serious than most of the world believes. This is not unfounded pessimism. What is happening is much worse than you thought it was. You'll realize that just being able to breathe the air in your own house is something you should already be grateful for. I know China is far away, but this virus is faster than you think. So you might rethink your Saturday night plans. And who knows, maybe if you had stayed at home, then he wouldn't have to be at home now. And at first you'll feel like you're going insane, and you won't see the end of the tunnel. You're not alone. You'll start seeing beauty and ugliness together. And you'll live moments of unity you'd only imagined. Like yesterday, we all got out on our balconies, and the whole neighborhood started singing. Everyone was singing their own song, but somehow we were all one thing. So start doing your part. Don't F it up. Don't F it up. Stay at home. It can't be that bad. You're not the only person in this world. Stay home. You can rest, read, watch movies, TV shows, playing guitar. Actually, learn how to play guitar, because right now you suck at it. And relax. It'll end soon. We underestimated this. You don't have to do the same. Stay at home. And this was from The Atlantic magazine. I had a tweet here from my favorite band, REM. I'll share the link in the chat. Please share this with anyone who's not taking this serious. Anyone who says, oh, it's nothing, it's just the flu. These are real Italian people. They're real like you. And they're saying what they wish they knew 10 days ago. And we can check up again in 10 days and see how it is. But I'm afraid it's going to be worse, I'm afraid. So we'll see how it goes. Let's have a little water here. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and a share. And if you'd like, you could call into the show at any time. Try to keep this show going at least maybe another half hour or so if we have enough news to keep going. And you can call us now at 1-518-600-1949 or on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. Check that out. Balaji still tweeting about the virus. Haven't heard about earn.com or 21.co in seems like many, many days. He says, you may have not seen the news, but the FDA and CDC bear direct responsibility for blocking lab testing, thereby turning a containable epidemic into a pandemic that has already killed many Americans and is on track to kill many more. Also, a shout out to Chef Jose Andres on Twitter. It was late at night at 2 a.m., and here they are restocking the stores. These are the unsung heroes of the coronavirus. These are people that are restocking the stores so you can go there and buy things so that you can buy food and stay home. So shout out to everybody who's working an unglamorous job in a supermarket, lifting heavy boxes of stuff, restocking those shelves. It may seem like nothing, but you're keeping the engine that is everyone else going. So you're a very important part of this. And, of course, doctors and nurses, even policemen, firemen, people that are keeping the streets, National Guard, all a big part of this. So shout out. It sounds Vital Vegas right here, my favorite Vegas-related Twitter account, says this is the saddest sign he's ever seen in Las Vegas. It's the MGM sign, and it says, your health and well-being are our priority. We'll look forward to welcoming you back soon. That's right. Las Vegas is closed. If you're not taking this thing seriously enough, Las Vegas never closes. They don't even have locks on the door. They have to bring out big metal chains and so on and so forth and padlock the things closed. They have closed. Someone else was saying they'd ran like a military operation or a movie or something with the casino, and they said, don't mess up the casino. The casino cannot close for even a minute. If the casino closes for a minute, they lose millions of dollars. And they are closing these casinos for maybe 6 to 12 weeks. No one knows. Right now, I think it's been 3 to 6 weeks. They're just going to wait and see. But this is major news. Meanwhile, Caesars on the other side of the street is keeping open. Caesars wants to be liable for a lot of people getting sick. So I don't know why they would do that. But MGM, which includes several casinos, the Bellagio, Paris, Bally's, a bunch of others I'm forgetting, Luxor, Excalibur, Mandalay Bay. Basically, they merged with several other companies. Vegas used to be about 4 companies. Now it's down to about 2. But the MGM has closed all of their resorts. The Wynn and the Encore, very fancy, nice resorts, have also closed up. Caesars, which still owns a bunch of casinos, kind of the anti-MGM here, is still open. Terrifying. Let's see what else is going on. Sam writes, at SanSDN, coronavirus has really illustrated how everything is fucking fake. Work is fake. Time is fake. But people's right to having the appropriate resources, food, clothing, shelter, healthcare, the responsibility towards others is real, and it matters. It can't be for sale. Just a nice message, I thought. Interesting to say, Bill Gates predicted the coronavirus pandemic in his 2015 TED Talk. The talk is called The Next Outbreak, We're Not Ready, and it's specifically about the coronavirus from 2015. So we had plenty of chances to prepare for this. Additionally, beyond that, President Obama, when he was leaving office, had a full meeting with the Trump team warning them of pandemic. They had them go through an exercise. All of the original Trump staff and original Trump cabinet were all informed of the possibility of this happening. Many of them are no longer in the administration, but it doesn't seem like this knowledge has been retained by anyone or that this prepping or training was successful in any way. Sad news in Italy, 6 priests in one Italian town die of coronavirus. Now, of course, these priests were out essentially doing the right thing as priests. They were up and close with their congregation. They were with their people. And because they were with their people, they got sick. So this is a heroic and a sacrifice that they're making for their religion and for their people and to give their people comfort. And sadly, they lost their lives doing it. Once again, don't take this seriously. There's 6 dead priests in boxes there. So just ignore that. Andrew Yang is back again. He's in Rolling Stone saying that you have no choice but to take drastic measures to help support demand and keep American families above water. There's no realistic way to do that except to just put cash in everyone's hands as fast as possible. Even Mitt Romney, arch Republican, is now supporting a $1,000 donation to everyone in the U.S. Of course, everyone else quickly said $1,000 ain't going to do nothing. We're going to need more than that, maybe $3,000 per individual with an additional credit given for children, and maybe even a recurring payment. Doing this one time might not help enough. But if you think about everybody who just got laid off because they work in bars and restaurants, they have less than 1 month of runway. They have less than 1 month of savings, and pretty soon they're going to default on all of their bills, rent, power, internet, everything. And if we don't give them money, we're not going to save them. All those people that take all the bills, they're all going to go out of business. The cable companies aren't going to get paid. The power companies aren't going to get paid, so on and so forth. We desperately need economic assistance because it's not these people's fault. They're healthy. They want to work. They want to go out and work. They're part of the system, but they cannot go out and work right now because of the pandemic. So it's a unique situation where paying them keeps the system going, keeps our economy afloat. Not paying them risks wrecking the whole economy. So it's up to you how long you want the economy to be wrecked. Andrew Yang, when he was told that Mitt Romney is now supporting an idea similar to his, wasn't upset. He said, "I'm pumped about it, actually." Classy guy. And he was begging them during the debate that either Joe or Bernie would come out with the idea of cash relief for the people immediately. We need this idea to get out there. This is another one of those tools that we have available. We can print money. We just printed $1.2 to $1.7 trillion for the banks. How about printing some of that for the people? We could even take down the tariffs on China or roll back the tax cuts if we need the money. Otherwise, we could just print it. Adam Schiff says the same thing. We need an economic response to this crisis as well as a health response. Let's start by keeping it simple. An immediate payment of $1,000 for every adult, $500 for every kid. Help keep families afloat and the businesses that depend on them. We're all in this together. And remember, unlike the pathetic tax cuts or giving money to the bank, if you give money to normal people who are broke, who have bills, who need food and supplies, they'll spend it. They will spend the money. This is good for the economy. Spending money goes into someone else's hands. They spend it. They have more. They spend it. It's a process. It rolls out. It's a snowball. It's an effect that we need. So, well, and Ben says that's true. It keeps the broken system going longer, but that's what a lot of our stuff does. A lot of the things here in the government is that we keep kicking the can down the road. And why do we do that? Well, if we didn't, what if the power company shut down? Well, now there's no power to the hospital, so we can't run any of those ventilators. So everyone dies. So kick the can down the road, keep the power company running, keep the ventilators going, keep the hospitals opening. I mean, basically the thing, everyone's like, let's just stop society. And it's like, that's great. We stopped society. We went back to medieval times, and 70 to 80% of our population died. Whoa, I know those people. I know some people. They're probably included in that 70, 80%. Like, we can't stop the system. And again, there's other times to talk about stopping the system, less serious times when a virus isn't killing us all. Sure, I guess if we were some kind of ultimate nihilists, we could be like, oh, well, the virus is here. Everyone should just lay down outside and die. And to some degree, that's what they did in Kurt Vonnegut's classic book, Cat's Cradle, with Ice Nine. Because Ice Nine, it's a long story, but the Marines were tired of fighting in the mud. This Marine general, he came to the scientist, and he said, "Scientist, me and the Marines have a problem. We're gung-ho, we're hardcore, we're ready to go, we've done a lot of training, but everywhere we go, we have to fight in the mud. And we're tired of fighting in the mud. Everywhere we go, Grenada, Vietnam, Germany, anywhere, mud, 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 mud." So the scientist says, what if there was a special kind of ice called Ice 9? And what if Ice 9 could freeze all the mud? And the Marines say this is great because then the mud would be frozen and they could just walk on it and they wouldn't sink down into the mud and have quicksand and all these other problems. It's great. Let's do it. Ice 9. At the same time, there's this religion in the book called Bacanism. And Vonnegut's all about this Bacanism religion, and they have all kinds of songs and riddles and poems. We merrily do what we merrily do, doodly do, merrily do, doodly do, merrily do, stuff like that. And in the Bacanism religion, they explain that mankind is just mud. We're the mud that got to look up, that got to stand up and look around and see how things are for a while. And then we go back to being mud. So when the Marines got Ice 9 and they could freeze all the mud, they also froze all the water. And when they froze all the water was connected to all the other water, to all the people. And pretty soon, all the people were frozen. So let's not do that. Let's not make Ice 9. Let's not freeze all the people. Like, yes, we might have to do things that we don't like print money or give money to people or build temporary hospitals that won't be valuable later. But that's the bridge that it's going to take to get us to the future. And are we going to be on creepy quarantine? Are we going to have martial law? Are we going to have people giving us MREs so that we don't starve? I kind of hope so. The alternative is we have to go outside again and get food. We all get infected. The alternative is we don't have any food and that we have it's hoarded by 5 or 10 people and so on and so forth. I mean, if we're going to stop hoarding, if we're going to stop people from going outside, if we're going to really enforce this quarantine, and if we're going to win against this virus, and if you guys want to lay down in the dirt and just die, that's fine. But I'm good to win in this virus. I want us to win. I want the world to win. I want the country to win. Do we think we're having a recession? We're definitely having a recession. I don't know if it's priced in. It's very difficult to know where the bottom is in this thing. But we know that we're going to have 2 negative quarters of growth. We know that the airline industry, the cruise industry, the hotel industry, anything with travel is totally wrecked. Restaurants are going to be wrecked. AMC movie theaters just announced they're closing for 12 weeks. Movies are going to be wrecked. Movie studios that make movies are going to be wrecked. This thing just goes all the way out through the economy. And then the question is, do we save these companies? Some of them go out of business. Some of them are saved. Some of them, like Apple, have tons of cash. But they're talking about this on the CNBC and so forth, and they just want to restart. They're like, how soon can we restart? How soon can we start cranking out widgets again? And so on and so forth. But we're going to be limited. We are not going to be cranking widgets for a long time. And even when we're back, I'm not sure that we're going to be cranking widgets because consumer demand just isn't going to be there. People aren't going to go back to spending right away if this thing is as bad as they say it is. And I guess there's still some doubt in the chat. People haven't met anyone with coronavirus. Probably a good thing, right? Probably something we should be looking forward to. As you know, individual stories are they're not the same as statistics. So I do believe the statistics. I do believe that the virus is real and spread, even if you haven't met anyone who has it. As far as myself, do I know anyone personally that has it? The closest I can get is that guy that is the Ethereum guy. I don't know him, but I know the Ethereum people. I know their community. And he infected a bunch of people at that ETH Paris conference, ETHCC. And that was bad, and that was real. And I've seen all the other things on Twitter and so forth. Maybe the people you knew were already dead. I don't know. But no, I believe it's real. I believe it's going to get worse. And once again, if I'm wrong, I just have extra food and I stayed at home. So sorry. We'll be okay. I saw this great Photoshop. I thought it was really fun. It's the Beatles Abbey Road cover, but they spaced the guys out. And I said, good job, lads, with the social distancing, everyone getting into the Photoshopping game. I thought this was a pretty great tweet from James Gallagher at James1052. He says, with more remote users, the attack surface changes interestingly. In the past, when I've cracked or phished passwords in a red team engagement, there was only a 20 to 30% chance of an account having remote access. That could flip to 70 to 80% chance in this new paradigm. So very interesting to see computer security is changing as well. If everyone just goes on Zoom and goes home and uses their VPNs, they better have good passwords. They better get two-factor authentication. They better change their passwords often, or they're going to get hacked. And they're going to get hacked a lot more because there's a lot more open doors. So there you go. Bad for businesses, bad for everyone, bad for humans, good for hackers. So there's the bright side for you. More than 1,300 medical professionals have signed an open letter to ICE, the Immigrations and Custom Enforcement Department of the United States. They ask ICE to open the detention centers now before COVID turns them into hospitals and then graveyards. I suggest that everyone should retweet and share this. It's almost been forgotten right now. We have so much negative news and so forth, but there are still people in those immigration internment camps that Trump created along the border. These are the ones where they didn't even have beds. They had the metal blankets and cots and so forth. Remember, they were not spread out. They are not having social distancing. They also haven't done anything wrong except trying to cross a border, which is actually how you claim asylum under the old system. And so, yeah, let them go. In other countries in Iran, they just released 85,000 prisoners because to keep them in jail would be essentially just to give them the virus and kill them. I mean, that's not what the punishment system is about. It doesn't go that far. Here's another chance to lose all my ad rights. But again, we want to show these things so that you can help take it seriously and so you can understand that we're all in this together. It won't pause.
Hey, Dad.
That's great.
He's 93.
Let's try one more time. Here we go. This is Max Brooks and Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks, of course, the classic entertainer. So many fantastic movies. Spaceballs.
If I get the coronavirus, I'll probably be okay. But if I give it to him, he could give it to Carl Reiner, who could give it to Dick Van Dyke. And before I know it, I've wiped out a whole generation of comedic legends.
Oh.
When it comes to coronavirus, I have to think about who I can infect. And so should you. So practice social distancing. Avoid crowds, wash your hands, keep 6 feet away from people, and if you've got the option to stay home, just stay home. Do your part, don't be a spreader. Right, Dad?
Go home.
I'm going.
Go.
Love you.
There he is, Mel Brooks and his son Max Brooks, reminding you to stay home. And yeah, it's definitely, like the guys are saying in the chat, it's all a psyop, it's all fake. That's right, in Iran, they're burying so many bodies we can see it from space. They're burying so many bodies in Iran, we can see it from space. That makes me think that it's fake. That's how I know. It must be fake. All those fake bodies in Iran, and then the crematoriums in China that ran too long and made their numbers seem false. Fake, fake, fake. They're just burning wood in those crematoriums to trick us. No, I don't think it's a psyop. I think we've gone well beyond that now. I thought this was great. Marco Rubio. It's hard to believe he's a senator. But he says, please stop spreading stupid rumors about Marshall, spelled M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L, law. Martial law, not marital or martial law, but martial law. So Slim Shady is going to be in charge. Martial law. And also, he's probably mixing it up with the Marshall Plan, where we bailed out Europe. Maybe we need a Marshall Plan right here in America. Let's bail out America. Let's save some of these restaurants and jobs. You ever think about where you're going to eat after the coronavirus? Apparently nowhere. In the future, all restaurants are Taco Bell. We can't tell they were burning bodies. What were they burning in the crematoriums? I remember when I was like, oh, I just want to go have a fire, roast some marshmallows. I'm going to go down to the crematorium. Yeah, man. Just keep explaining things. Yesterday, Andrew Yang said the Trump administration should give universal basic income to Americans affected. He's right. Bitcoin price went all the way down to 4,331 before jumping 8% back to 5,000. Stay the fuck home. StayTheFuckHome.com has so far reached 2 million people, more than 17 languages, with a simple message of stay the fuck home. If it's a psyop, if it's so bad, let's just stay the fuck home. See where it goes. Is Bitcoin Twitter in favor of nation-level quarantines to fight COVID-19? 520 votes. 60% say yes. 60% of crypto Bitcoin Twitter, judged by 6 retweets and 520 votes, say yes, we need nation-level quarantines. Yesterday on CNBC, Cramer was talking about needing super profitable airlines. Not needing super profitable airlines, but still needing airlines. Just a lesson of how far this could go. All the airlines, all the cruise stocks, all the hotels could go out of business. We could be looking at nationalizing airlines if you want to go anywhere. He's also looking for stocks that will survive and come out of the other end of the tunnel. They're talking about Amazon, Apple, BMW. But even then, the guy picked up from the old thing even on CNBC, he said, who's going to want to go out and buy a BMW? Where is the demand for a luxury car post-coronavirus? We have to understand the demand. We have to understand what's going on. Oh, that's good. It's all planned. It's all a thing. Again, the virus is out there. So let's go down our options, right? It's all a government conspiracy. The Chinese government wants to kill their old people. The American government wants martial law. Whatever your reason is, someone evil has accidentally on purpose, or on purpose, released the virus into the world. The virus is now out there, so it doesn't really matter who did it unless they also made an antidote. It'd be great to find out later and to have a Nuremberg trial and to ring them all up from whatever country. And maybe we just get all the biowarfare people together in there. But that's a complex issue because they're also fighting viruses as well as making viruses, so it's complex. But even so, we have our Nuremberg trial. We get all these people up. We hang some of them. It's fantastic. Well, there's still a virus. Like, the virus is still there. We still need to stay home. Like, I don't know what the conspiracy theory does, how it helps anything, or how it matters when there's still a virus and when the way to fight it is staying home. So if you want to say the government's a liar, what you're saying is that we shouldn't stay home. You should go out into the street and get killed. I don't think they're lying about the virus, that there is one. Where it came from, I don't really care. I mean, it doesn't really affect me or matter me. I mean, again, they're going to kill us all. They're going to kill us all. If they're going to virus us, they're going to virus us. We have no organizational structure to fight such a large thing if such a large thing existed. So again, I think we just need to stay home, stockpile our food, be reasonable. Do you know anyone with it? It's ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, it's all fake. Come on, man. Like, people know people with it. Just because you don't know anyone doesn't really mean anything statistically. It doesn't really affect anything. Like, do I know anyone that's left-handed? It doesn't really affect anything. So again, you're not understanding statistics. Like, even if I knew someone, the personal aspects of it wouldn't affect it. I could know someone, but everyone in some other industry got infected, so they know 90%. They know 20 people. You know, I mean, I don't think you're gaining a lot here. I don't think we're benefiting. And again, I'm being totally reasonable. I'm totally willing to say this came from a biological lab if it's proven. And if the people did it, I'm willing to say we should punish them. I'm right there with you. But right now, you know, I got a big virus problem. I got people that need to stay home. I got people that need to take this seriously who aren't taking it seriously. And look at that Italian video 10 days ago. And all we have to look at is how fast it's doubling. Is it doubling every day? Is it doubling every 2 days? Is it doubling every 3 days? Please tell me it's not doubling. That'd be fantastic. If we could get anything that wasn't doubling, that'd be fantastic, because that's how statistics work, right? This thing goes up, 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 and we all die. So the hospitals are overwhelmed. There's no ventilators. Like, this is our future. We need to stay home. It doesn't matter if it's conspiracy or not. So I'm not sure what else like you guys think is going to happen. So let's keep going. We had some more. So we had the circuit breaker yesterday. We had some exciting times on the stock market. Check out the open source ventilator makers. Very cool stuff. Here's the curve from Italy. As we can see here, if we look at the various curves, U.S. now seems to be following the Italian model. So it's going straight up. So we only have about 5,000 or less confirmed cases in the United States. I think we have around, I mess it up all the time. Let's try 300 billion people in the U.S. I don't know. So 300 million people in the U.S., 1.2 in China, 1.7 in India, something like that. So you wouldn't necessarily have met any of the 5,000. It's just saying. I mean, there's only 5,000 of them. I mean, how many baseball players there are? Is anyone personal friends with a Major League Baseball player? I'm not. But Major League Baseball players exist and they have friends, but I'm not their friend because there's so few of them and so many of me normal people. So people that are not baseball players. Let's see what else we got here. The American response seems completely undirected, says Mad Bitcoins. NBA shutdown. New York City schools closed. Some Vegas casinos closed, but all decided by the individual groups. We have a complete lack of central leadership. And I say that history will judge us harshly if there is any history after this. Closing half the casinos is really inefficient, right? People are just going to go across the street and get sick in the other casino. If we had a government response, they could presumably close them at the top level. Things like the, our government is the NBA. Our other government is the CDC and so on and so forth. And the CDC has taken their warning from groups of 50 down to groups of 10. So if you think there's not 10 people gathered in a casino, we should keep it open. If you think there's 10 people gathered at the restaurant or 10 people gathered around a craps table or 10 people sitting next to each other playing slot machines, then I'm afraid we need to close those casinos. We need to close more things. And yes, overreacting costs us money. It costs us time. It costs us extra food that I have in my pantry that I wouldn't have had to spend money on, or I could have spent money slowly on. That's what it costs us. Not reacting costs us millions of lives. So if you want to, keep going to bars and restaurants, keep spreading the disease. If you want to overwhelm the system, if you want to go, hoard things, if you want to go play golf or go to a club or whatever, you're helping spread the disease. So let's go to Arnold Schwarzenegger here. Again, this video is provided for educational purposes under the grounds of fair use. I'm going to try to talk over it and so on and so forth. But if it wasn't a great video with a great cause, I wouldn't play it. But here's Arnold Schwarzenegger, former governor of California, star of the Terminator movies. And I think it's a miniature horse and a miniature donkey. Oh, Twitter video. It's so pathetic. Oh, come on, play. Come on, play.
That you stay at home because there's a curfew now.
Curfew.
No one is allowed out, especially someone that is like 72 years old. After you're 65, you're not allowed at the house anymore in California. So we stay home.
California.
And we eat here. Right? Oh, yes, that's yummy. I eat with the whiskey, and there's Lulu.
Whiskey
Lulu
and
loves
Lulu.
carrots. Whiskey loves carrots. I just had my little bit of vegan food. Oh, that was yummy, huh? Oh, see, that's what we do. We don't go out, we don't go to restaurants, we don't do anything like that anymore here. We just eat with whiskey and with Lulu. We have a good time. We get entertained. Look at that beautiful smile she has. Huh? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, the yummies, huh? And we have a good time.
Arnold,
Here together.
Arnold and his
So much
miniature
more fun
horses.
Going outside. No more restaurants, okay? No more restaurants. Forget all that. Public gatherings, restaurants, and all these gymnasiums out the window. We stay home. Okay, whiskey, huh? You, and I have you in my neck. Mwah. Yeah, whiskey. And you, I have you too. Now I have both of you. Look at this picture here. Yeah. No biting. Okay, you got to get along. Because we're in very small quarters. We have a very small house here. Yeah. Good girls. I love it. Good girls.
All right, so there it is. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator, asking you to stay home, not to go to bars and restaurants, not to go to gymnasiums, not to go to sporting events. Just stay home. Let's just not get other people sick. If you go out, you're spreading the virus to other people. That's not what we want. There's nowhere to hide. The price of gold, at least a couple days ago, had dripped back below $1,500. So really, there is no safe haven in a total market crash. And everyone's all upset Bitcoin's not acting like a safe haven, but that was against hyperinflation. We were trying to defend against hyperinflation. We weren't trying to defend against an entire market crashing because of a virus. And again, if you don't think this is real, look at the price of gold. Seems pretty real, right? Why would it's conspiracy? They dropped the price of gold? They dropped the stock markets? Come on, guys. This is real. And Google is making the new software, but they're making you create a Google account if you want to use the COVID virus testing software. As Roger McNamee says, Google needs to find its soul. Applying surveillance capitalism to a pandemic information service is wrong in every possible way. And they're just trying to get the data, and they're just doing what they've been taught. And they're not being evil anymore. They're being, I don't know, whatever Google's new model is. It's not don't be evil. I wish it was be good, but it's not. So reminder from Italy, here's another thread to remind the rest of the world you have no idea what is coming. So let's check out this thread on Twitter. Italy is on quarantine. The situation's bad. Stage 1. You know that the coronavirus exists, and the first cases begin to appear in your country. Well, that's nothing to worry about. It's just a bad flu. I'm not over 75 years old. What could happen to me? Then it's safe, but everyone's overreacting. Why are they getting masks and toilet paper? I'm going to live my life as usual. There's no need to freak out. Stage 2. The number of cases begins to be significant. They declare a red zone and quarantine 1 or 2 small cities where they found the first cases and a lot of people were affected. Well, that's somewhat worrisome. And we've seen this in the United States. New York City, San Francisco San Francisco launched a stay-in-place order. New York City has closed bars and restaurants. Things are tightening up. Stage 2. I think that's where we are right now in the U.S. Stage 3, the number of cases is rapidly going up. They almost doubled in one day. Remember, we're all about doubles. How long does it take to double? There's more deaths. They declare more red zones and quarantine the 4 regions where the majority of cases are registered. 25% of Italy is under quarantine. Schools and universities are still open. Stage 4. The number of cases is heavily increasing. Schools and universities are closed everywhere for at least a month. Just happened here. It's a national health emergency. Hospitals are at capacity. Entire units are cleared to make space for coronavirus patients. Sadly, Stage 4 continues. There aren't enough doctors and nurses. They're calling retired ones and those in their last 2 years of university. There's no shifts anymore. Just work as much as you can. And of course, doctors and nurses are getting infected, spreading it to their families. There's too many cases of pneumonia, too many people who need the ICU, and not enough places for everyone. At this point, it's like a war. Doctors have to choose who to treat based upon their survival chance. That's triage. The elderly, trauma, and stroke patients can't get treated because corona cases have more priorities. There's not enough resources for everybody, so they have to be distributed for the best outcome. Woo, socialism, woo. I wish I was joking, but that's literally what happened. People have died because there wasn't any more space. I have a doctor friend who called me devastated because he had to let 3 people die that day. The nurses were crying because they can see people dying and they can't do anything besides from offering them some oxygen. A friend's relative died today because of corona because they couldn't treat him. It's chaos. The system is collapsing. Coronavirus and the crisis it's provoking you is all you hear about everywhere. Stage 5. Remember the 10K idiot who ran from the red zone to the rest of Italy? Well, now the entire country has to be under quarantine. The goal is to delay the spreading of the virus as much as possible. People can go to work, do grocery shopping, but all the businesses are open because the economy would collapse. There's people with masks and gloves. Stage 6. 2 days later, it's announced that most bars and businesses are closed, restaurants, shopping centers. Everything except supermarkets and pharmacies. You can only move around if you have certification on you. The certification is an official document where you declare your name, where you're coming from, where you're going, and what for. There are lots of police checkpoints. If you're found outside without a valid reason, you risk a fine of up to €206. If you're a known positive patient, you risk 1 to 12 years of jail for homicide. Final thoughts. That's what the situation is like now as of March the 12th in Italy. Keep in mind that it all happened in around 2 weeks. 5 days from stage 3 to today. The rest of the world, apart from Italy, China, and Korea, is just beginning to reach other stages. So let me tell you this. You have no idea what's coming for you. I know, because 2 weeks ago I was the one who had no idea and thought it wasn't so bad. But it is. And it's not because the virus alone is particularly dangerous or deadly, but because of all the consequences it brings. It's hard to see all these countries act like it's not coming and not taking the precautions that are necessary for the well-being of its citizens while they still can. Please, if you're reading this, try to act in your best interest. This problem isn't going to solve itself by ignoring it. Just wondering how many undiscovered cases there might be in America alone is scary, and they're in for big, big trouble because of how their country is run. Our government, for once, did a good job, I must say. The actions were drastic, but necessary. And I think that's a big point. Drastic, but necessary. No one wants to do this. No one wants to see this happen, but it's necessary. You know, we've got to rip the Band-Aid off. Got to get the whole thing off. Done with it. Not going to do it slowly. And as he says, this may be the only way to limit the spreading. Final thoughts in China. I guess this guy's in China. He's trying to tell us. China is taking protection measures, probably suspending mortgage payments for the next months, try to help shop owners who are obligated to close and so on. And he says, I realize that these takes are difficult, if not impossible, to take in some countries, and that it's really worrying to think about what it could mean on a global scale. I wonder if this pandemic will be a turning point in our society. And I wonder that too, but I wonder if it's going to be a good turning point or a bad turning point. I know it's something we'll remember, but I wonder if we'll remember it positively or negatively. In the United Kingdom, manufacturers are quote-unquote urged to consider switching to making ventilators. As Jason Hickel, at Jason Hickel on Twitter, writes, other governments are commandeering factories in order to produce the medical equipment they need. The British government is just hoping. These people's minds are so strafed by neoliberalism, they can't even imagine how to operate as a state. And yes, there is. There's time to operate. There's time to, take control of the state, flatten the curve, get the military, get the National Guard, get the facilities set up, get the factories going, make more ventilators, make more gloves, whatever we're going to need, get it done. And here's the announcement from a few days ago of the MGM closing all of its properties. The Bellagio, the Luxor, Mandalay Bay, New York, Excalibur, and MGM Grand, all closing. Wynn is also closing the Encore and the Wynn casinos. Let's see. They're saying in the chat we should review the numbers. We looked at them a little bit, but they're saying in the chat that it went from 150K to 90K since Friday. So that is a major jump. Let's see if we can get some graphs of that, something I can really more understand. Okay, there we go. So we can see a little bit of an S curve, but not really a full S curve. The straight part is right about here. You can see right in there, that's where it goes straight up. Then it kind of flattens off. Then it starts to recover and to go back up into presumably another S curve. We can see here on the total cases, we had the straight up. We had the flattening out of presumably China helping out the world. But then Italy, the United States, Iran, France, Germany are all adding to these total cases. Let's see. New deaths. Iran added 135 deaths. Spain, 168. And again, we're just tracking the numbers of these cases and the new cases. They're saying, At least right here, it's being reported that there are no new cases in Italy. I'm not sure that that's factual. Also being reported that there are no new cases in France, and there have been no deaths and no death numbers in Italy. It might just be a problem with the data. But I agree with the chat. The China numbers are very unlikely to be realistic. 80,000 cases, 3,000 deaths, whereas the Italians have around 27,000 cases and 2,000 deaths. So if we up China's number to around 8,000 deaths, that would make more sense with what they're saying. Maybe the extra 5,000 were burned in those crematoriums. Who knows? But we need more data. We need more information. But yes, none of this is good. It was a few weeks ago that I pretty much got serious about this thing and started mentally canceling my trip. And the way that I canceled my trip is that I just waited every day to see if it got better. And every day it did not get better. Every day it got worse. And I was like, yeah, I'm not traveling. And I like to travel. I like to go to conferences and interview people and hang out with people and see museums and stuff. But no, I'm staying home. You should stay home. We can stay home. Let's see. Okay, maybe one or two more questions from the chat. We've got some good questions, and then we're probably going to end the show for today. But it's good to check in. It's good to keep this up. Make sure to give us a thumbs up and a share so that more people can find the show. Ben asks in the chat, the China numbers are realistic. Why would they lie? China has a lot of reasons to lie on this. While they are a totalitarian society and they can operate from a top-down structure, they also cannot have people questioning their power. They must be the most powerful and they must be always right. When this thing started out, that doctor warned people. That doctor went in the chat room with the other doctors and warned them. The Chinese government response to that was to punish the doctor. The doctor was arrested. The doctor was accused of spreading false information or panic information. And so this set back their ability to fight the virus. This set back their country's ability to save those people. So they probably feel, well, it's probably not a feeling issue, but as they are now slightly responsible for all the deaths in China, it's probably in their best interest for them not to be so many deaths. They also wanted to see like they could control the virus, so they wanted that. So I just think there's a lot of questions there, especially around the death tolls. They say that WHO has commended their transparency. Well, I still don't trust these numbers. They don't look right. Either, well, I mean, and again, it could be wrong. We're just looking at numbers. Obviously, perhaps there's a larger elderly population in Italy, and that the elderly population in Italy is housed differently than the elderly population in China. It's a possibility. In China, I believe most of the elderly live at home with their family, which led to a major problem in community transmission. One of China's major successes are separating people with fevers off from their family, not letting them self-quarantine at home because that would infect the rest of the family. If Italians maybe have mostly nursing homes, perhaps their nursing homes were somehow guarded against this virus, although as we've seen from the nursing home in Seattle, the nursing homes are very, very, very susceptible. They're saying that it's the difference in deaths is China cracking down hard, whereas the Italians didn't. The Italians slowly moved towards this, even when they were cracking down. No disrespect to the Italian people, but they tried to keep being Italian. They went out to the bars and the clubs and they lived their lives. And sadly, this is not one of those diseases that rewards you for just going on with life as normal. So that's why I think there's a lot of doubts in the Chinese numbers. I don't have an official document saying that they're fake or saying that someone faked them. I don't have any evidence. When I look at the deaths compared to the total cases, then I look at any of the other numbers we have, it seems more on a ratio than the Chinese ones, which don't seem to match the ratio. But there could be more work on this and more numbers on this, and not the be all and end all. People just don't believe this numbers. They believe it's worse. So that's about it for this quick update episode of the Thomas Hunt Show. We are keeping an eye on the prices of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up 6.24% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 5,352, a high of 5,485, and a low of 4,869. That's $1 for 18,744 Satoshis. Checking out the Dow Jones Industrial Average, it's reloading. The Dow Jones started off down, went all the way down to 19,907 before it went up. It went all the way up to 21,301 before falling to where it is right now, around 20,626. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 2.17% today, but it has been lower as well. Checking out the Mad Bitcoins fundraiser, it's now only 187 Bitcoins to get us all the way to $1 million. We've had no new donations. We've had no donations since the 7th. So we've had 10 days with no donations, 10 days where people think, maybe we like watching this show, but we don't like donating to it. We don't like paying for it. So that's too bad because it's not going to last forever. But I had a good time hanging out with you guys. I think it's fun. I'm not panicking about the virus. I'm just going to stay home. Stay the fuck home. So that's about it. Thanks to everybody for joining me. Be sure to wash your hands, stay home, take care of your loved ones. If you know some old people, maybe go by, give them some extra food, do a good deed, go to the store, buy extras for your old friends. Maybe you don't even know them. Maybe they just live in your apartment building. Just leave some food on their doorstep. You don't even have to talk to them. Just like knock on the door, say like, here's some food. You're nice old people. I want you to live, like that kind of thing. Thanks so much for the donation. We just had a donation of 500,000 Satoshis. Wow, that's a lot of Satoshis. Thanks so much for donating. Remember, you can use the Bitcoin network or the Lightning network with Tallycoin, and you can also start your own Tallycoin fundraiser at tallyco.in. They don't take any money. You just need a Bitcoin address, and you can have a cool webpage like this that looks like a fundraiser. So pretty cool. Thanks so much for watching. Thumbs up and share. Subscribe down below. Share this post on Twitter, Reddit, anywhere else you think people might like it. Share that Washington Post article that explains how staying home helps not spread the disease, and that's our goal right now, not spreading the disease. So thanks so much for joining us. Until next time,